Hello, my little teddy bear. Moo. Cuddle couldn't make it today. Miss Moo is here to read to you. Yes, we're continuing. Da 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 da. Night of the Mannequins. And I hope that you are comfortable, and I hope that you enjoy the way I read to you today. Okay? We are on chapter 4. Are you cozy, comfy? You have something to drink? Perfect. Okay. Shanna was the first to go, and by go, I mean die. And by die, I mean get killed. It's like she was still part of us, I guess, of the group that had abandoned Manny one perfect summer so long ago. So Manny, he was starting on the outside or something, starting with her because she was furthest from the actual prank, and he was going to work his way in, leaving guess who right in the gooey middle surprise. Anyways, yeah, newsflash, Shanna died when that muck truck veered off the service road, jammed through her bedroom wall, kept right on going through the rest of her house. Big disastrophe, horrible tragedy, made the Dallas Morning News. Her mom and little brother both dead too. Whole community in tears. Candlelight vigils, memorials, half days at school, the whole deal. Why them? Everyone was asking. What did they ever do to deserve this? Isn't it so random how that can happen to just anyone? It could have been any one of us, couldn't it have been? Couldn't it have? There was no answers, of course, but it wasn't because there weren't answers. It was because nobody was asking me what I might know. Would I have even told them, though? Honestly, at that point in things, I'm not sure. Whatever I would have said, though, it's a sure thing they wouldn't have believed me. There's not 1/2 of 1/10 of a silver of a chance that they would have called me crazy from grief, suffering from survivor's guilt, acting out via conspiracy theories, engaging in magical thinking, maybe even showing the front edge of a psychotic break with reality, a break due to, I don't know, to our failed prank and how it had fundamentally upset the nature of what I'd been foolishly calling reality, the one, where mannequins don't get up and walk around. It's probably good I kept quiet, I'm saying. But I could have told them all a thing or two if they'd wanted to listen. Or I'd have asked them certain leading questions. What if that truck wasn't random? What if Shanna's mom and brother were just collateral damage? Most important, especially as it still applied to me and Daniel and Tim and Junior, what if Shanna sort of maybe had been asking for it? As far as I knew, as far as they said, and we believed them, why would Shanna and Daniel lie? Manny had been their first kiss, one truth or dare afternoon, and the whole summer was I don't know, what's the best joke? I don't know what the best joke had been. There were just so many, each more fabulous and inventive than the last, setting many up in old people's yards, holding their spraying garden hose with one hand, the other lifted to wave in a 1950s, we just won the war, everything's hunky-dory way. Should any cars drive by, using two of us to lift his eyes up level with the bottom of Danielle's second-story bedroom window, making her scream loud enough her dad nearly caught us, giving Manny Sharpie tattoos and then Windexing them off, making them bigger, louder, worse, and better at the same time, carrying his head into Croker and holding him open-eyed in the cantaloupes, running off with him like a football before any clerks or bag boys could catch us, leaving him on the benches in the park, and then hiding in the bushes, blowing dog whistles as hard as we could so the dogs would try to attack him, the owners desperately apologizing, trying hard to drag their crazy dogs back to the normal world. Manny was good for it all. I was always game until we kind of just left him behind like a baseball glove. We didn't need him anymore. Like a tricycle we'd outgrown, like a friend we decided we didn't need to talk to anymore. I still see his hand lifted in pre-wave, though, just waiting for someone to drive by, notice him. We deserved him coming for us. Yeah. I'm just sorry I had to start with Shanna, who wasn't even on the prank. But if Manny started with me, then a whole lot more people would have ended up dead. So yeah, sorry, Shanna. Guess it sort of had to be like that. The greatest good, all that, which is also just a way of saying the least bad, which I know, a truck running off the service road and through your window at 60 miles per hour. That's pretty bad, right? But yeah, I could have maybe called to warn you, sure, probably, I even should have. And okay, I didn't have it all figured out so much yet then, but I mean, I could have told you about the rattling I was hearing in my backyard anyways, particularly around the shed, the rakes and the shovels, the tomato planters my mom always pins so many of her hopes on. What I didn't tell you was that my dad sent me out there to chase whatever raccoon or dog away, but instead of a raccoon or dog, I saw a flash of band-aid pale skin in the bushes for a moment. My heart nearly stopped. I froze, looked harder, finally cued into a painted-on eye, watching from a break between the bushes. Manny. When we'd been posing him here and there and everywhere, he'd always been stiff. Hard to make do what we needed him to do. The level his eye was at now, though, I had to imagine the rest of him crouched down like at the starting blocks from a race, meaning his fingertips, which had always been more like the front edge of a paddle, had to be holding him up, had to be able to spread wide enough to do that, and his feet would have to be body length behind him almost, ready to blast him up and away from getting caught doing whatever he was doing. Was he trembling from the effort of holding his awkward position? Was that trembling making the front half of one of his thighs start to cave off? The dowel in there at just the right angle to slip? Was he still wearing our dad's cast-off clothes, or was he naked now, which doesn't really matter of him? Was he happy to see me? I was still thinking of that then. So yeah, after walking out of the theater like a normal human person, he hadn't had anywhere to go, anywhere to be, so he'd gone feral, right? Maybe he lived on the golf course for a few nights, then remembered where old fort was back in the trees and gone there, hoping to find us being kids, still ready to play, still ready for more and more hilarity. But he had to be just operating on dim memories, I figured, and those memories had brought him here, to my backyard, so he could sneak into my garage, maybe so he could ride away on my Dad's Kawasaki. Save us the trouble of having to deal with the guilt of him always standing out there at the edge of things. That's the kind of guy Manny would have been. I mean, if he could have been human. I couldn't leave the garage open for him though. Even if he could get my dad's motorcycle started, he wouldn't have known how to ride it. Not really. He'd lay it over the same as my dad had, and his limbs and head and body would go spilling every which way, and I'd get busted for it. Of course, because he couldn't have done it himself. He's just a thing. Sawyer, try telling the truth for once. Why don't you? All the all the same, I couldn't let him starve, could I? I whispered to him to wait, then went inside, scavenged for what I imagined a mannequin might eat. It turned out to be bubble wrap and packing peanuts and mayonnaise. I walked 2 steps past the light in the backyard, my heart pounding, dropped it all and ran, then came back 30 minutes later to tear the corners off of the mayonnaise packets. The next morning it was all still there, but it was scattered and smeared around like Manny had looked in this junk for the food part, not found it. But the shed door was swinging back and forth in the breeze, and it had definitely been shut that night before. For absolute sure, because if it wasn't, the raccoons were always out there in their black masks, waiting. I tiptoed in, saying Manny's name, not really hopeful, but like a shield, I guess, like reminding him I'd known him once upon a time. He wasn't there, but my mom's jumbo bag of genetic Miracle-Gro had its side ripped open, and in the most obscene way, most of its pellets not spilling out, just plain gone. As many of them that slick plastic fingers would have been able to get out anyway. You eat that? I said out loud to him. Eat what? My dad said back, standing in the open doorway right behind me. Then, before I could answer, he asked if I'd seen his Redskins cap, and my traitor of a brain kicked up the rakish angle he usually wore it at, and then suddenly knew why I'd put it at that angle on Manny. Maybe Mom put it in the dishwasher again, I told him without looking, and that was enough. He faded like dads do, leaving me with this plundered bag. You're growing, aren't you? I said to the idea of Manny. The idea of him nodded back. He was hungry. He was growing. And he sort of remembered us. The combination left me feeling a certain kind of easy. Oh, the combination left me feeling a certain kind of uneasy. Suspicious, dready sort of uneasy. And then that Mack truck veered off the road into Shanna's room. Unrelated, right? Wrong, because her login was still on my old laptop. I spidered over to her account to see what she'd been pirating the night those headlights came through her window. My idea was that if the download had been interrupted, I could finish it for her. At least give her that much closure. It had been the same superhero movie we'd taken Manny to, I guess, working there. She'd only ever saw the credits and the after scenes, right? And since we'd all watched the first 2 together so many times, now that she was shut off from us, pissed at us like she should have been, she could have still sort of hang out with us by watching the 3rd movie, or maybe she just wanted to see it. Yeah, Mom's right. I always do make things more complicated. See? Motivations and agendas where there's not much of anything. Still, this movie? No, I said, and shut my laptop, held it down with my hand like the truth was trying to rise up, force itself on me. That's it. That's the movie. That movie downloading, it told me all I needed to know about how the world was working. What had happened was some trucker had been LOL-y gagging down the road half asleep. Lollygag is my dad's second favorite word and his favorite for his first son, but That trucker had been just driving half asleep like they do, zombies of the highway, and he'd taken the exit without even registering that he was leaving the interstate. And then something that had been crouched down on the road in front of him stood up all at once, a mannequin, juiced on Miracle-Gro, up to 16 or 18 feet tall, probably, maybe 20. Anybody would have swerved away from hitting a walking nightmare like that, wouldn't they? Shanna was surely already dead by the time Manny stood up into those headlights, though. He had killed her somehow, probably just strangled her with his plastic hands, then directed the truck through the wall to cover his tracks. That was why there hadn't been able to properly tell what smear of meat was her. What was her mom? Which was her little brother? What was dog and what was human? It had to be like that, though, for Manny. Otherwise, we might clue in that he was coming for us. He didn't count on me, though. And that is all of chapter 4. It's like, I don't know. He thinks Manny is evil, right? And he might be, but I still have hope that maybe there's a misunderstanding. Maybe the truck situation really was an accident. Or what do you think? Do you think Manny did that on purpose and actually killed her? It's a little confusing because he does jump back and forth a lot between the past and the present tense. But I hope that you were able to understand it really good. And I hope you're having a really good time with the story. And I guess we'll see who reads to you next time.